Hello, this is Pastor Nathan with Bible Stories for Kids, and today we're going to look at a story where, again, the religious leaders, kind of the pastors in ancient Israel, are going to try and trick Jesus. And last time in the Gospel of Luke, they tried to trick Jesus about his authority and get him in trouble. And this week, they're going to try and trick him again, and specifically about paying taxes to Caesar, paying taxes to the Roman Empire. Now, when Jesus lived, the Roman Empire ruled over the whole Mediterranean world. So if you know where the Mediterranean Sea is, kind of right underneath Europe and right above Africa, they ruled all the land kind of around that, all the way up into England, all the way towards India, through what we call Asia Minor, and into North Africa as well. Quite a pretty big area of land. And the Romans were really big on law and order and their own justice system. They really thought that was important. And so paying taxes was a big deal. And so the Jewish leaders are going to try and trick Jesus into getting him to say that the Jewish people shouldn't pay taxes to Caesar, because then they could get him in trouble with the Romans. And Jesus, again, he's going to be really, really clever in how he answers. And there's also something really valuable we can learn about how Jesus responds to this question and challenge. So let's jump on in. We're going to be in Luke chapter 20, starting in verse 20. The religious leaders sent spies to keep a close watch on Jesus. The spies pretended to be sincere. They hoped they could trap Jesus with something he would say. Then they could hand him over to the power and authority of the governor. So the spies questioned Jesus. "Teacher," they said, "we know that you speak and teach what is right. We know you don't favor one person over another. You teach the way of God truthfully." They're trying to kind of butter him up, try and make Jesus feel good. But they're like, you say what God says regardless of what people think. And they're trying to trick him. They're not trying to actually compliment him. Verse 22, "Is it right for us to pay taxes to Caesar or not?" Jesus saw they were trying to trick him, so he said to them, "Show me a silver coin. Whose picture and words are on it?" "Caesar's," they replied. He said to them, "Give back to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and give back to God what belongs to God." They were not able to trap him with what he had said there in front of all of the people. Amazed by his answer, they became silent. So sometimes I wish I had Jesus around to tell me what would be a clever answer to some of the difficult political questions and issues that we face in our world right now. Because he is so incredibly clever with the religious leaders. Now, what they were trying to do was, the coins back in those days would have a face on it, just like we have a face of Abraham Lincoln or other presidents on our money, or other important people on our money from American history. They would have the Caesar's face printed on the money. They'd stamp it with Caesar's face and a little inscription. Well, the problem was the Caesars, the rulers of the Roman Empire, considered themselves to be gods. They considered themselves to be at least sort of divine, kind of a demigod. And so the Jews didn't like that. They didn't like the Roman coins. They thought it flirting with idolatry. They thought it was like close to idolatry of worshiping something that was not a god, that proclaimed to be God. And the inscriptions talked about Caesar being a son of a god, of being divine. And the Jews really didn't like that. Now, Jesus' answer was really clever, where he respected the authority of the Roman Empire and paid his taxes, and he told other people to pay them by saying, "Hey, whose face is on this coin?" And they said, "Caesar's." And it's like, well, give back to Caesar what is Caesar's. An idol isn't anything. It's just they're a little stone statue or a little coin, and but also give to God and continue their tithe as they were to do in Judaism. And so he answers it really, really wisely, where he doesn't compromise he doesn't give up anything of what he believes about God, what it means to follow after God, but he also does a good job of respecting and balancing with the Roman government. And so Jesus kind of does that perfectly. He holds up following God and not compromising what is true, while at the same time not messing with the governing authorities just to mess with them, because God puts government in place for the sake of law and order. It's something that he established, and it's a good thing. We may not like a politician or a leader, but God is ultimately in charge of all of that. And his plan for the world and history is bigger than any single political leader. So it's important to remember that, because Jesus himself deals with things in that way. So it's a big topic, but also one that we have to deal with right now, as there's a lot of fighting and discussion about politics. You probably hear your parents talking about it. I've heard some of you tell me about your political opinions about President Trump or President Biden or anything else in between. And so I encourage you to have a conversation with your parents about how do you keep the two things, believing in God and what he says is true, also respecting our governing authorities, even if you strongly disagree, because Jesus strongly disagreed with Caesar's view of himself. Caesar wasn't a god. So how do you balance the two? Have a good discussion with your folks, because it's really important. And we'll see you all next week. God bless.